Welcome back to the Beginners Photoshop course, guys. Here we are now in lesson 2, and in the previous lesson I just showed you a little example of why it's important to organize your files correctly, and I showed you how we organize our files. So try and come up with a method that keeps it really simple, really straightforward. Name those folders and keep them in that originals folder or that masters folder where you know you've got your uncorrected versions of the images that we can always go back to if we need to. Now in this lesson, what we're going to do now is open up Photoshop. Okay, we're going to get inside the program and I'm going to show you a little bit of the interface, and then we're going to actually just go over how to open some pictures in Photoshop ready for editing. So this is the up-to-date version of Photoshop. Okay, we're running the most up-to-date version basically. We updated this just recently. Now don't worry if yours looks any different to this. Sometimes they look very similar. Sometimes if you're running an older version of Photoshop, it might look a bit different. But don't worry, you should see something along the lines of your most recent files that you've opened here. And we've also got a Create New tab and Open there. Now, because I don't know which version of Photoshop you're running, I'm actually going to show you the most basic way to open a file in Photoshop that will be the same regardless of what your interface looks like. But before I do that though, I need to just break down a little bit of the interface here for you. So I've already touched on this area here. This is where any recent files that you've managed to open prior to now will appear. If you haven't opened anything up yet, then this will be blank as well. You've got possibly an Open tab or a Create New tab. That's to create blank files. That's just the general overview here of what we'll say is the home screen of Photoshop. Now at the top, we've got what I'm going to refer to as the menu system. This is the menu system, and along here you're going to find things like image, where we can make general adjustments to our pictures. We've got filter and things like that. We're going to touch on all of that a little bit further in the course, but for now, just remember that this is the menu system. So what are we doing at this stage then? Well, we're going to open up a file in Photoshop. So which menu header do you think I'm going to need to go into here to open up my file? Okay, it sounds obvious, and as I'm explaining it, we're going to click in File. Okay, so always think about it. These menu headers are labeled the way they're labeled so that it should make sense. So if you think about what you're doing, there should be a menu header that kind of responds to that or corresponds to that. So I'm going to click on File at the top and just come down to Open here. Open ... click on that, and then what I'm going to do is just click on Desktop, because I know that's where my photography folder is, my Rob's Photoshop photos, and I'm going to click into that folder now, and I've got June Walk there. I'm going to click into my Masters folder, and then I'm just going to scroll down and choose a picture. I'm going to go with this one here, DSC 9696. Now, when you've clicked on this picture, you'll see that the blue Open button will highlight. Now, I'm going to click on Open, and that will just bring our picture into Photoshop, and you'll see the interface will now change ever so slightly there. So at this stage now, you'll see the interface has changed, and we need to actually just break it down a little bit here and go through what's going on, because the Photoshop interface can be a little bit overwhelming at first if you're completely new to this software. So you remember at the top of the screen here, we've got our menu system. Okay, I referred to that earlier. That's our menu system. And along the left-hand side of the screen here, we've got the toolbar. We're going to use quite a few of these tools throughout the course, okay? So remember that this is our toolbar. Right. Now, on the right-hand side of the screen here, we've got a few bits. We've got the Properties area of the document. We've got a tab that says Adjustments. We're going to come onto that much later on in the course. We've got our color swatches and things like that over here. And we've got our Layers area. You know, all of that's going to make a lot more sense later on. So this is our basic Photoshop interface. So that's the really straightforward way there to open up a photo in Photoshop. And I've just broken down a little bit of the interface there. I've just touched on what those areas are. Okay, so have a look again. Okay, one more time. We've got the toolbar down the side here. We've got our Layers area. Okay, a Properties area there with the Adjustments tab and a color swatch there. Okay, that's all going to make a bit more sense later on. Remember, we've got our menu system at the top. And one thing I didn't touch on earlier was that we've got some tool options up here. So as I change tool in the toolbar, you'll see that this area up here just changes depending on which tool I've got selected. And that's just the options area basically for our tool that we're using. So I'll show you one last time how to open up a photo. I'm going to go to File at the top, and I'm going to come down to Open. Okay, remember we're opening up a file, so it makes sense that we go into the File menu. File, open ... Let's click on that. And I'm going to go right back to the start of the process again. Desktop, Rob's Photoshop photos, June Walk, masters. And let's just open up one other file here. I'm going to go for, let's have a look here. Just choosing a random picture. Let's go for this one here. And there you go. So have a go now, guys, at opening up a couple of your pictures in Photoshop. Just get familiar with your Photoshop interface. See if you can identify the layers area, the toolbar, and the menu system. Okay, it sounds obvious, but just as I say, we're going to go right from the beginning here. So it's only obvious once it's been explained to you. So try and find all of this on your system now and have a go at bringing some pictures into your program. And I'll see you in the next lesson.